What's up, guys? Just doing do a little quick video for you. So when I came up in the plumbing field, um, I used to work at a school system. I worked there 12 years, and the guy that taught me was a trip, man. He, you know, I started. I was probably early 20s, maybe 20, 21. When I started, he was probably around 50, maybe mid 50s. You know what I mean? So he'd already put in like, his 30 years, basically, pretty close at that point. He had like 4 years left when I started. He started obviously a lot younger than I did. So the way he operated and did things was a lot different the way I did things or even wanted to do things from my point of view. Um, from the customer service part of it to just doing the plumbing PMs in the bathrooms, make sure they're good. Check every. We had 8 schools, so I would check. I'll try to check like one school a month if I could, depending on the workload. Go through all the bathrooms, flush everything. Check the drains, all the stuff. Normal just maintenance basically. And he was the type of guy where he didn't really want to do that. He just wanted to do it when the work order came in, kind of wait. That's how they did it when he was coming up in the school system. Was don't be proactive, be reactive basically. And I wanted to kind of fix it before it got to that point, you know what I mean? So I didn't have 20 work orders coming in a day from 8 schools trying to maintain 50 work orders. I mean, there's just no way to, how do you juggle that, you know what I mean? So one of the funnier stories was we had a water main break at the high school on the second floor, like a 2-inch pipe, and that was probably the first time I've ever seen an actual like pipe in the school break. Not just like spring a leak, like, oh, it's a bad solder joint or something. Like, it actually like broke apart. 2-inch copper line broke apart, and he gets a call first to go there at the high school. So he goes there. I'm like 10 minutes behind him. I'm at another school wrapping up a different job on a sink and getting that squared away. So I come over. I go in the school. Water's coming down the stairs. It's flooding the place out basically. And nobody knew where the main was at that time, or even, a lot of these places, they don't go in the mechanical rooms. The teachers and staff don't, so they wouldn't even know where to turn off really, even if they went in there maybe, it's not really labeled. So I go up the schools. I'm getting there. I go up the stairs, water's flowing, and I go around the corner, and I don't know if it was like a Friday. It was like probably around lunch, and I don't know where he got this, but he had a white poodle, like a white poodle or some kind of dog in his hands, like petting it. You know what I mean? And he was like, "Look, Dave, look at the puppy." And he's like petting the dog. Yeah, water's like flowing down the hallway. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, man, what are you doing? Like, turn the water off. But he, he was in a couple of wars and they had Agent Orange, so his mind sometimes would like slip. He would just like totally like zone out, forget where he's at. So that was one of those cases where he just was like, his mind switched and he was in like a different place or something. And once we got that squared away, we were good because we got the water turned off and we got the thing fixed. Spent a couple more hours getting everything put back together and cleaned up, and that whole deal. So yeah, he was just one of those like, laid back, like, cool guys to be with. He was laid back. The other thing was, so when I started, we didn't have tablets. It wasn't until, probably like 6-7 years in we got tablets, and they were all paper copies. So they would basically like send over this box of like papers or work orders, and you had to pretty much, our boss had to like distribute them out through email or boxes or whatever they decided to send over him in. And end of the week, if he didn't fill them out, he would have like coffee stains on them, and they'd blow out the window, and they was just like, oh well, I don't know what that was. They'll send it in next week. It's not a big deal. And I'm thinking, man, I don't even know what that was that blew out the window, because we just had two operating styles of, if we're going to maintain these 8 schools, then we got to be, proactive. And he was on his way out. He was like, I've had my 30 years, I'm done. You can kind of roll with it. And, it definitely shows you different personalities within the field of how people are. If how people kind of operate, you know what I mean? Even like business owners and just different people, like different personalities. There'd be a blockage in the kitchen. He'd have to pull the clean out and start snaking that, just like barehanding it, just grabbing a snake, grease everywhere in his hands, and he would go like wash his hands in a sink somewhere, then go to like fast food joint and get a sandwich and just start eating it. And I'm like, man, you should wear gloves or something. That's not even, like, that's not even right. You gotta protect yourself. And he was just like, oh, I'm pretty much like, I'm past that point, a little bit of grease ain't gonna hurt me now. So, it, of course, I don't, I was 12 years and I left. So I don't know. He left before I did, retired. So I don't know where he is now, what he's up to, but I'm sure he's making somebody laugh, because it's just stories of just being there. We had a fun time together, fixing stuff. He would teach me different things here and there. One of his, he always had like 4 or 5 Phillips screwdrivers in his tool bag, but not a flathead to turn off the angle stops for the toilets, which always amused me. So I started carrying around a flathead, and then eventually like a 6-way in my pocket every time we went somewhere, because it always failed. Like, we would need a flathead screwdriver and never have one, and he was always like, oh well, check the tool bag. So I checked the tool bag, and there's 4 or 5 Phillips screwdrivers and not a flathead. And I'm like, how do you not have a flathead in there? And he just was like, well, at the time I didn't need one, but now I do. So then he would like lose stuff and lose his tool bag, and it'd be up on the ceiling somewhere, and I'm like, hey, where'd you leave your tool bag at? And he's like, probably at the middle school up on the ceiling. Work around a lot of different personalities, it makes you kind of look at yourself kind of in a different light, like, man, do I do that? Do I leave my tools everywhere? Do I, you start questioning yourself, your whole operation. Yeah, we had a lot of fun together. It was a good time. Definite experience. So, well, it's Friday, guys, so we made it. I'll have some more videos coming out next week. Put out something. We'll put out some like pressure regulators and I'll have to figure out what we got scheduled. Faucets, probably some rocking toilets. Something. Hopefully nothing too bad. Maybe a flange if it's broke. We'll see what's up with that. But I'll post some more videos next week, and hope you guys like them. We'll see what happens. So have a good weekend. See ya.